To Knicks Chicks family, welcome back to another episode. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef, rolling solo dolo today, but shout out to Diva Lots as always. Hope to see you back soon and feel better. But welcome back, everybody. It's been some time since I've been on. I missed the past week, but I've been still watching the Knicks and keeping up with what's going on with the Knicks per usual. But I do want to recap the last few games and discuss the Knicks games that they have won, um, against teams that they should be beating, right? So the Knicks played Portland back on March 30th. They beat them 110-93. And then they played on Tuesday, April 1st against Philadelphia. They beat them as well, 105-91. Two teams that the Knicks should be beating, right? I don't expect anything less. I'm expecting the Knicks to win those games. However, then the Knicks played on Wednesday, April 2nd against Cleveland, and they lost that game 105-121. It's funny because when the Knicks played against Cleveland, and I was having this conversation last night with Diva Locks, the Knicks looked good in that Cleveland game in the first half. But somehow the Knicks, I felt like the second half, Cleveland's defense picked up. The defensive energy from Cleveland was very intense. They was playing that smothering defense. And I noticed with the Knicks, when they're being played with that white on rice defense, the Knicks just lose composure. They get lost. They're all over the place. They don't know what's going on. And the Knicks just couldn't handle it. And not only that, I was looking at the energy of Cleveland, and Cleveland looked confident going into the halftime. Cleveland looked very confident. Cleveland looked like the way Spider was looking and the rest of the guys, to me, they had that look like, we got this, because the Knicks are going to collapse in the second half. Like, yeah, the Knicks did a really good job in the first half, but we've seen this before. When the Knicks first time played OKC, they played them really well the first half. But somehow in the second half, the Knicks, they just lost it. They collapsed, and we've seen this from the Knicks before. And I just think that with the Knicks playing both Boston one last time and then playing Cleveland one last time, I think if the Knicks can't figure out how to beat those two teams, I mean, how far are they going to go, right, in the postseason? And the pushback that I got from Diva Locks was, well, technically, they didn't have every healthy player. And maybe that can be the case. I'm all for no excuses, but maybe that can be the case. Maybe if Tibbs does play both Mitchell Robinson, and maybe if Mitch was playing that Cleveland game, it would have made a difference. Maybe if you had Jalen Brunson, would have made a difference. If you would have had Deuce McBride, it would have made a difference. I don't know. I feel like I need to see it for me to be able to say, okay, yeah, it made a difference. They were able to pull out a win, or they came really close. But I think that at this point, you have to figure out how to beat those teams. You can't just figure out how to come close to beating them. You have to figure out how to beat Boston, how to beat Cleveland. How do you beat teams like OKC and the Knicks? Yeah, you beat Philly, you beat Portland, you beat Milwaukee, but you haven't figured out how to beat the Clippers. That's another team that has had the Knicks number. So yesterday, the Knicks played Atlanta. The Knicks pretty much had their way, and it was a good game. The only thing that was a little questionable for me with that game is in the fourth quarter, the Knicks got outscored something serious, 13-25. And I think it was like the last 7.5 minutes, the Knicks didn't even score a basket. And I'm like, how do you, like, they blew Atlanta out. I'm not going to take that away from them. They played a solid game. Yes. I think part of the reason why the Knicks have won the games that they won is because they had consistency from both Karl Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby. I mean, and then I'll say you had a little bit of production from Landry Shamet as well, who's helped kicked in and helped out. I thought Precious Achua's had some games where not every stat has showed up in his stat book, but he's had solid games. And then Mikal Bridges has been off and on. Some games he's on, and some games he hasn't entered the chat. But Atlanta game, the Knicks outscored Atlanta in the first quarter 38-31, second quarter 40-22, third quarter 30-27, fourth quarter 25-13. Again, I'm not sure where the collapse came from with the Knicks in the fourth quarter, but it kind of goes back to what I was just saying with Cleveland, how the Knicks sometimes they're not a good team at finishing games off strong. They're better when they have Brunson because he's very clutch and he's able to get the Knicks points needed and able to close out games when needed. But yeah, I think that there's a bigger question mark there nonetheless. But OG Anunoby, he had 24 points. Josh Hart was 1 rebound shy of another triple-double, had 16 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns had a double-double, really good game from him, had 30 points, 11 rebounds. Mikal Bridges, 20 points, 5 assists. To Leon Wright, that was his 5th start, 10 points, 2 assists. I've liked what I saw from him. Are we going to see much more of that? Something that I want to talk about today as well. Landry Shamet, 12 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. He's been locked in, knocking down the threes, hitting his jumpers as well. Precious Achiuwa has 6 points, 3 rebounds. Cam Payne was back in the game. It was nice to see him back, helping out with the point guard position. He had 3 points and 3 rebounds. No Tyler Kolek minutes because Cam Payne is back. So that was expected. Knicks was at 53% field goal percentage. They were 15 for 29 at 51% from the 3-point line. They were 16 for 19 from the free throw line. Both teams finished with 38 rebounds. The Knicks moved the ball well, had 32 assists, 5 blocks, 8 steals, 13 turnovers, and 54 points to the paint to Atlanta's 50. So overall, I thought it was a really good game. I really did. It was a good game. When the Knicks are in Atlanta, it's like being at a home game because, a lot of New Yorkers moved to Georgia. They moved to, Atlanta, and there's a lot of Knicks fans there. So it's nice to have the Knicks community and fan base there to help the Knicks out. But I think that for me, there's some bigger questions that I have, but I do want to go over some stats for the Knicks, right? So here it is. The last 10 games, the Knicks are 6-4, averaging 112.3 points per game. They're at 41.4 rebounds per game, 29.2 assists. They're at 8.9 steals per game, 3.9 blocks per game, and they're shooting 48% from the field. And their opponents have averaged 109 points per game, close to 110, but we'll keep it at 109. The Knicks rank 8th in their net rating. They're 5th in offensive rating at 117, and they're 13th in defensive rating at 113 as well. The Knicks have gone 26-12 at home, which is not bad, actually. And the Knicks are 9th in the Eastern Conference with 10.9 offensive rebounds per game. Karl Anthony Towns leads the team with 3 rebounds per game. And the Knicks are scoring about 116 points per game, which is not bad. I think, again, with the Knicks, when you see the stats on paper, it shows one thing. And then sometimes when you watch the games, it shows a different thing. And I've spoken about this before over and over again with the lack of consistency and just the up and down of this team. And I don't really want to put a heavy emphasis on the Knicks having a lot of injuries, because I don't think that that's been the main issue this season. Last year, that was an issue, but I don't think this year the injuries have been a very prominent role here. Um, yeah, you haven't had Mitchell Robinson up until recently, and Mitchell Robinson, they haven't been playing him back to back. And that's one of the reasons why Jalen Brunson didn't play yesterday, because they didn't want him to go on a back to back, which is smart. You want to preserve him, let him get some games in before the postseason. And he is set to return today, Brunson, against Phoenix. This will be his 62nd game that he's played this season with Brunson. In the 61 games played, though, Brunson, he's averaging 26.3 points per game, 3 rebounds, 7.4 assists in about 35 minutes, with a 29% usage rate, and at 60.6% true shooting percentage. My thing is, are the Knicks going to carry that same energy that they had yesterday into today's game against Phoenix with no KD, which doesn't mean a whole lot? Yeah, you don't have Kevin Durant, who's great in his own right, but you still got to worry about Tyus Jones and Devin Booker. And whoever else from the bench may want to randomly go off and have a bunch of points against the Knicks. But I don't know. I think the reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of times when the Knicks play back to backs, they don't do well. They like drop one game. And I think with me saying like leave the excuses at home, I still stick to that, because granted, in the playoffs, you're not necessarily playing back to back games. But in a season series in the playoffs, you're not getting a bunch of rest, I guess is what I'm getting at. And I think the Knicks have to figure out how to not look like Duke looked against Houston yesterday. Gassed, winded, nothing left to give, because conditioning, stamina, because whatever other reasonings, right? So as long as this team is healthy, I think there's some Knicks fans who feel like if the Knicks have all their healthy players, they'll be able to do well and get far in the playoffs. There's some Knicks fans who feel like if the Knicks are healthy, they can beat Cleveland. If you get Mitchell Robinson there, you playing against them, which I do think Mitch can make a difference playing against Cleveland versus Cat. Cat didn't have that presence defensively down low like Mitchell Robinson can. So I do agree with that. But here's my thing. When the Knicks get to the playoffs, it can't fall on like 2 or 3 guys. It can't be Brunson, Cat, and OG. Like Mikal has to show up. Josh has to show up. And then you need the other role guys to show up. You need Deuce to show up. You need Shamet, Payne to show up. You need Precious to show up if he gets the minutes. Because this is the other thing that I'm worried about and that I've been thinking, like, I don't want to say worried, but I'm curious about is the minutes distribution and the rotation consolidating down to, I don't know, 8 if Tibbs does 9. And then the guys that are not getting the minutes have to remain ready, right? Because I feel like, to me, I heard Jeff say this too on Dope Soul Sports Talk. Shout out to Jeff Clapter. And I thought this was a good point. He was saying how he doesn't think that it's a good idea for Tibbs to, for example, play both Cat and Mitch at the same time on the floor, because now you're exposing what you're going to do in the playoffs. And I kind of agree with that, because I think the Knicks have to strategize right, and you have to surprise teams on what you're going to do. You have to figure out a different game plan and throw teams off versus them thinking, okay, this is what they're going to do. This is who they're going to play. These are going to be the rotations and subs they're going to use, and this is what they're going to bring to us. Like the Knicks have to figure out a way to, aside from like playing the game, the schematics and the rotations have to be, changed, switched up. There has to be somewhat of a change and something that you practice and could work, but then you actually take action and utilize it, and then it's implemented in the games as well. So I don't know. I do want to see that look of both Mitchell Robinson and Cat in the game at the same time. Yes. But even with all of that said, right, even if the Knicks switch things up in the postseason and, you know, Tibbs finds a way to throw a different wrench at teams and it works, I think that you can do all of that all you want, but you need more than 2, 3 guys to step up. Like, again, it can't just fall on heavy Brunson, Cat, or heavy Brunson and OG, and then maybe you get McCall playing really well, or it has to be like the way the scoring was, like in yesterday's game, which again was against a really bad defensive Atlanta team who don't play good defense. They had no answer in the paint for the Knicks. They just been in shambles. So yeah, the Knicks look good against teams who haven't been good this season. Yes, you expect them to win, but my thing is like, how do the Knicks respond against the teams who, again, are going to have that white on rice, man to man, smothering defense against the Knicks? Like, how do the Knicks respond to teams like that? Because I've always said this with this roster for this year. I'm not concerned with them offensively. Even if the Knicks are having an off night, I think my only caveat to that is if the Knicks are struggling to knock down their shots, are they going to continue to keep shooting shots, or do they bring the ball inside? Because that's one of the things I noticed too. When the Knicks were playing Cleveland, Cleveland was getting to the basket. The Knicks have always, this is one of my things too with the Knicks that is like, it's a bad habit that I think that they have to figure out how to like make an adjustment with. The Knicks are not a team that they know how to get to the basket and do it on a consistent basis. They let me correct that. They know how to get to the basket, but they don't utilize it. They'll rather keep shooting threes or shooting mid-range jumpers. And if they're not falling, I'm not saying to completely stop shooting, but when you watch them play, in perfect example, when they played Cleveland, Cleveland was just easy floaters, stopping pops, driving to the lane, stopping the clock, getting to the free throw line. The Knicks do not do that. And I don't know if it's because we don't have the type of players who are structured to do that, or is that the morale under the team that they don't do that there, and then you only see really like 1 or 2 guys do it? Because the only like honestly the only like 3 guys I really see get into the basket like that is OG, who's done a phenomenal job as of late getting to the basket. I mean, he is like really mastering getting to the basket, and I pray that OG keeps utilizing that and doesn't allow any defense to stop him from doing what he wants to do and imposing his will in the postseason. But OG does it, Carl Anthony does it, and Brunson does it, where they get to the basket and they drive. A lot of the other guys don't do that. So if you're settling for shots and they're not going down, that's going to be a pain point for the Knicks. But I think that I'm more so like looking at, well, how do the Knicks, okay, prime example, when the Knicks play both Cleveland and Boston, how do they respond when they're playing this really good defense and the Knicks offensively are allowing those better teams to dictate what the Knicks are going to do offensively? Because we've seen this before. The Knicks allow, when teams are playing really good defense on the Knicks allow teams to slow them down and then also make them rush at the same time. And then they settle. It's like 1, 2 passes, or sometimes it's a game of hot potato, if they can do that, because sometimes they're in a overly rush. And then they just put up shots that they really didn't want to put up, or they're forced to put up a shot because the shot clock is going out. So I'm looking at, well, how do the Knicks respond when they're being played with like smothering defense? How do you play it out of that? How do you get out of that? And then on the other hand of things, when the Knicks have to play defense, how do they respond? How do you stop guys from continuing to just go to their right, go to their left? Yet, honestly, the defense wasn't good against Cleveland. I watched Josh Hart, and he was defending Spider at one point, and it was like about to go to a commercial, and they was like replaying a play. And Josh was literally playing on the side of Donovan Mitchell. And sometimes Deuce does that too. He gets caught like that, and so does Shamit, where they're playing Payne. They play along the side of the player because you're playing them so close that now they just outbeat you, and then they get to the basket. So I don't know. I'm wondering, like, what changes can the Knicks make to, you've already clinched the playoffs, right? Cool. Whoop de darn do. You know, maybe the Knicks could finish with 52 wins, is where I'm predicting them to get the 52 wins. There's the only two games I have in question is the last and final matchups against both Boston and Cleveland. Those are the two games I'm a little like, I don't know. You know, you don't know with the Knicks, especially when the Knicks play Boston. They just haven't seemed to be able to find a comfortable rhythm of confidence, and where they can play at, at the Knicks basketball. It seems like Boston just makes the Knicks just play the way Boston wants the Knicks to play. So that's something that the Knicks have to figure out how to be better at, and figure that out. But, and then I think also the other thing is, okay, Brunson comes back. We don't need Brunson to play hero ball. And I also don't want to see OG take a step back. Mikal damn sure don't need to take a step back. If anything, he needs to keep finding his way to the front. And then figuring out how to get Cat and Mitch the ball. So I don't know. I know Brunson's been watching the games, but I'm wondering, how does that work when he gets back? I want to see OG being aggressive as he has been. And I don't think that it's necessarily he wasn't aggressive when before Brunson got hurt. I think the floor is opened, and it's different not having Brunson there. The ball has moved really well, but I'm just curious how that's going to look this evening and moving forward, with Brunson back in the game. Do the Knicks need Brunson? Yeah, they need Brunson. Not knocking him. You absolutely need Brunson, because you need another option. You need another answer. And that's why I say that it can't fall on like two or three guys when you get to the playoffs. The Knicks have options, but they have to be utilized and implemented in the game, in each game throughout a playoff series, for the Knicks to be successful, along with playing defense and getting stops and being aggressive and wanting it more, right? So we'll see. Now, what I'm wondering is, when Brunson comes back, which is tonight, DeLeon Wright's minutes, I don't think he's going to be getting any minutes, because now you have Cam Payne back as well. So Wright, he started in 5 games, averaging like 9.6 points per game, 3 rebounds, 3.6 assists, almost 2 steals. Not bad, considering Milwaukee really didn't give him any minutes, and technically the Knicks didn't either until there was injuries. He's 6'5", so it provides him a lot of length at the point guard position, which is something that Brunson lacks. And it helps him defensively, which is a great thing. But what I'm wondering is, when you have both Cam Payne back, Brunson, Deuce be back, I do not see him in the lineup. I think he has to be on standby and stay ready. But I'm wondering, should Tibbs take it game by game, right? And in some games, I'm not saying to give him a ton of minutes, but I think in some games, for example, Brunson's starting, he's playing a point guard, right? Brunson goes to the bench to get a breather for a couple of minutes. Okay, you try out campaign. Maybe he's off that night. Do you keep allowing Cam to be the backup point and do, or hypothetically between Cam and Deuce, one of them is off? Or do you give Wright some minutes to try to come in, depending on the game and the matchups, and see what he could bring off the bench? I feel like it should be like that. Not, well, I'ma just rock with you know, Payne and I'ma rock with Deuce. But if one of them is off, hell, if both of them are off, but if you could get something from Wright and hell, maybe Shamit, who I'm sure will still be in the lineup because of his shooting, I think that's how you need to play it. Not like, well, I'm gonna just keep rocking with these guys. It's been 3 quarters. There's nothing happening. They're not giving you the boost of what you're looking for. So I think that Tibbs needs to go about it in that regard. Like, I wouldn't necessarily sit right and just not give him any type of minutes. I would try to implement him some way, somehow, because you never know who could be an X factor off the bench and could come in and be a spark. You never know, defensively getting you stops, something that maybe another guy, it's just an off day for him. Maybe that other guy could come in and, you know what I mean, and give you something. So you never know until you put them in. I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about that in the chat. Shout out to the chat. Nostalgic Nick, salute to you. Hope all is well. Sterling Smith, salute to you as well. Hope all is well with you as well. Yeah, this is what I mean. 1 point in the final 7 minutes. You know, the Knicks, they've, when they had Brunson in the lineup being clutch, when you really think about it, he was really what made the Knicks a strong fourth quarter team. Otherwise than that, I wouldn't say that they're a good team to close out games on their own. But that is alarming. I perfect word for it. It's absolutely alarming. And then, yeah, it's a good thing that the Knicks had a wide enough lead that they didn't have to worry about. Because even still, when I saw that Atlanta finished the game with 105 points, I'm like, well, I was like, well, what happened? I think I was watching another game or something. I turned it back to the Knicks. I said, well, how did they even get to 105? The Knicks were up by so much. And yeah, that explains it. Rondu 1973, salute to you. Hope all is well. Said Sterling said there is almost no direction at the end of close games, especially with, yeah, exactly what I was just saying. It's like Brunson, he's the orchestrator and knows how to close out fourth quarters really well and strong. And I don't know, I don't. It's concerning with the Knicks for fourth quarters. This is why having close games are not always to their advantage. Nostalgic thinks Jalen Brunson will mess up the chemistry. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think he's gonna mess up the chemistry, but I think that um, there's some adjustments that's gonna need to be made, and I think that Brunson saw that while he was out watching the games. A Negro one, salute to you, said, I would find some situational minutes for Wright when Payne is off. Yeah, agreed 100%. I think Wright shouldn't just be completely shut out and sitting on the bench. I think playoffs come, you're going to need them. And listen, I'm not knocking the minutes that guys are playing, that Tibbs are playing them, but I think with the playoffs being that it's such a different animal, it's a lot more intense. I think that you are going to need to be able to, in certain games, have guys like Wright play. Hell, you may even have to put a couple of spot minutes for Kolick if you need to, because again, if Payne is off or Deuce is off, you can't. To me, Still rocking with them a whole game could cost you. When you could have looked at the end of the bench and said, well, let me try DeLeon, let me try to get him in here for a couple of minutes. You never know what he can do. You know what I mean? Like you never know what he can. And the reason why I say Kolek is even though his defense isn't good, Kolek has good court vision and decision making as far as passes go. And sometimes you need that aside from Brunson. You need another option of somebody who can make passes at the right time. One thing, because I'm thinking of spacing of the floor, I've noticed is with Shamit a lot of times is in a way offensively. Like I've seen two games now where he's in a way. And it's like he realizes it too late and then he tries to run and skedaddle from wherever he was. And I'm like, Shamit, did you just start? Did you just get acquired by the Knicks yesterday? I'm not sure why is he always in the way. And it's like he needs to figure out where he needs to be offensively. And then defensively as well, I think that sometimes Shamit and Josh, and I'll say Precious too at times, they make these stupid fouls that it's like, why are you fouling? Just let the guy make the layup. Just they got by you. Just let them go. Why are you? I don't understand it. It's just silly and it's dumb. But yeah, I think that for sure, I agree with you, Anibro, that if Payne and I also put Deuce in that category, if they're off, I think once you get to that postseason, I don't think it would be wise to sit right on that bench and not put him in. You never know what he could do for you. So ball movement and defense, yeah, the ball movement has been a lot better for the Knicks. I don't see that going down as long as, like I said, Brunson finds balance of facilitating the ball, going off when we need him to go off, finding guys, and then the defense has to be better. It has to be better. Payne is make or miss for me, and I question shot selection at times, but love his ability to disrupt at time. Yeah, sometimes his 3-point shots for me, I agree. I'm like, I don't think that was a good shot. But I don't know. I'm hoping we can get the version of campaign that we had when he was on Philly and he was just chucking the threes down. But I'm gonna be honest, part of the reason why he was able to chuck them threes down is because Josh Hart wasn't playing defense on him. He was watching him. So, when you're another team and you're playing against the Knicks don't guard the perimeter. So it's like you could have a 3-point party against the Knicks as long as just keep putting them up and they're going down. So we'll see. Talking about the double big lineup with Cat and Mitch, got to see it now, not experimenting with it in the postseason. Yeah, I think Tibbs should try to utilize it against Boston and Cleveland. Why not? I think the Knicks don't have enough presence in the paint defensively playing against teams, and I think that they should try it. Why not? Throw something at Boston and Cleveland that they haven't seen already from the Knicks. Because at this point, they're like, I can guarantee you both Boston and Cleveland have checked off the Knicks game, the final matchups this season. They checked that off as a win. Because they already know they have the Knicks number. And honestly, I'm not even getting comfortable just because the Knicks may hypothetically be playing Milwaukee. That means nothing. Do I think the Knicks can beat Milwaukee or Detroit? Absolutely. But I don't know. I look at last year in the second round and we were going against Indiana, and I wasn't overly confident. I wasn't counting the Knicks out, but I don't know. I know it was a different story. There was injuries and whatnot, but we'll see. 7.5 assists is not a very selfish stat. He is the first option for a reason. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Overall defensive IQ is suspect big time. Yeah. Yeah, the Knicks, I think that could be an Achilles heel for the Knicks. If the Knicks don't play good defense and if the Knicks get stifled with really good defense, with that intensity in the playoffs, the Knicks, I'm afraid that they're going to collapse and they're going to fold and they won't have an answer. And it's unfortunate, but we've seen it happen with this team, right? The Knicks are playing Phoenix tonight at 7. That should be a good matchup considering Phoenix has been struggling this season. Over the last 10 games, Towns is averaging 24.4 points per game, 12.8 rebounds. He's at 3 assists. And then OG Anunoby, who I'm absolutely loving what he's been doing for this Knicks team, being aggressive, the defense. I'm still a little like baffled how he wasn't named for defensive all team or defensive player of the year. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna say this: if OG wasn't on the Knicks, I think his name would have been in the hat. But somehow, when you're on the Knicks, you get overlooked for things like this. But OG Anunoby is averaging 25.8 points per game and 1.9 steals, and this is just over the last 10 games. So that speaks volumes on its own. My thing is when the Knicks play tonight, yeah, you don't have Kevin Durant, but you still have guys you have to watch out for. I mentioned Tyus Jones earlier, who's averaging 10 points per game, 5.5 assists per game. And then you have Devin Booker, who's Devin Booker. He does what he does. He's averaging 25 points, 4 rebounds, shooting 46% over the past 10 games. The Knicks are going to have to close out against Phoenix. I don't think this is a game. You don't want it to be a trap game just because it's a back-to-back game. Phoenix is 35-21 currently right now. The Knicks are 49-28. And where are Phoenix? Oh, yeah, Phoenix. They're in 11th in the West, 35-42, behind the Sacramento Kings. So at least I'm happy the Knicks have clinch playoffs. Right now they're 49-28, like I said. As for Phoenix, let me just check really quickly with Phoenix. Yeah, Phoenix. Oh my gosh. Let me just make sure I'm looking at this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. They've lost their last 5 games. They lost to Boston, Milwaukee, Houston, and Minnesota. And in Boston again. So they're going to be thirsty for a win, of course, right? But I think the Knicks need to put them out their misery, play aggressive. You got Brunson back. You should be able to win this game. I don't know if you're going to be able to stop Devin Booker because he seems to do whatever he wants to do against the Knicks, right? So we'll see. We'll see what the Knicks do. And then let me get my predictions for this week's game. So the Knicks play Phoenix tonight. They play Boston on Tuesday. They play Detroit on Thursday, Cleveland on Friday, and then they play Brooklyn on Sunday. So they do have a back-to-back with Detroit on Thursday, Cleveland on Friday, and then they play their last regular season game away in Brooklyn. I'm gonna go 2, 3. I'm gonna go 3-2 because the Tuesday game against Boston and then the Friday game against Cleveland, I'm not sure because those are 2 teams the Knicks haven't had an answer for. So I'm gonna go 3-2, and the Knicks should be able to finish at 52 wins. 52, and maybe if they can surprise us and do 53, which isn't bad. It isn't bad. So I definitely would like to see the Knicks men at least go over the 50 games that they won last year. And we'll see. We'll see. You guys, predictions for this week? Do you have the Knicks beating either Cleveland or Boston? I'm curious. Let me know. But I'm unsure. I'm not saying no. There's every team is beatable in the NBA, but I'm not sure with the Boston game in Cleveland. I'm a little like Cleveland. I feel a lot more confident, but I'm not sure. And Boston's like been on their like runner stride at the end when they just kick things into gear to finish off the run strong. That's what Boston's been on as of late. So yeah, that there's that. So 3-2 for me. Sterling Smith said Giannis is Giannis. If Dame plays, Bucks become a different animal. I don't think Dame is playing. I don't see him coming back because there was like blood clots in his legs, and that's requiring surgery. I don't see him coming back. But I agree 100% with you. Just because Dame is out, um, I don't think that you count. I don't think you count out any team. I don't think you count out Milwaukee. I don't think you count out Detroit. And hell, if you had to play Indiana, I don't think you count them out as well. So you can't sleep on any team in the first round. Look at last year's first round. Was it very entertaining? Absolutely. But it was Philly gave the Knicks a run for their money. Detroit is the tougher matchup for us physically, but Milwaukee has championship pedigree and the best player on the floor can't overlook that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think Detroit, Milwaukee, either of the two matchups, it'll be like last year's first round. I think it's going to be back and forth. It's going to be physically tough. And the Knicks will have they'll Knicks will have a run for their money, absolutely for sure. So we'll see. That Boston game will be a great indicator. Yeah, we'll see. Negro said if we clinch third already, I would sit my starters against Boston. Really? That's interesting. Sit the starters out. Well, Boston's not going to sit their starters out. They don't care if they've already clinched. This is like practice and a way for them to get some more conditioning before the playoffs. Hit them up, NYNJ. Salute to you. Said, I'm pretty sure Cleveland and Boston are going to rest their players. So should the Knicks. We'll see. Because we always think that, and then when you watch those games, they're playing. And if I recall correctly, I don't know if it was Boston or if it was Cleveland, but one of those teams had did that, and the Knicks still lost really bad. I want to say it was Boston, and it just wasn't a good outcome. So I don't know. If we get to Cleveland, we beat them. Yeah, I feel confident that the Knicks can definitely take Cleveland over Boston for sure. Um, this is a different Cleveland team. This ain't the one we played 2 years ago, but I do think that having Mitch there to go against um, their two twin towers, I think that yes, the Knicks have a better chance. I think the Knicks can definitely match up against Cleveland. Absolutely. The Knicks just got to kick things into that playoff next year. Why preview, give them another look? Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. It's on the coach to rein JB in and run something from Mikel, OG, or Cat if he gets ISO happy. Yeah, that's also going to hurt the Knicks. Too much ISO, the ball not moving, stopping. That's going to for sure hurt the Knicks. And I think that's something that the Knicks have to keep doing is moving the ball, guys moving without the ball, not clogging up the floor. The floor has to open up. There has to be good floor spacing, and the Knicks can be very successful against a lot of these teams. But if there's no ball movement, if the guys are not, um, if they're just standing around waiting for the ball to come to them, there's no one cutting to the basket. Jalen Brunson isn't getting Cat the ball. Mikal isn't cutting, or he isn't hitting the cutters. The Knicks are not. They're not going to do good. So it's important that ball movement. The Knicks have been moving the ball really, really well. So we'll see. Danny, salute to you. Hope all is well with you. So yeah, that's my predictions for this week. I got the Knicks 3-2, question mark next to both the last matchup against Cleveland and Boston. As far as I'm concerned, the Knicks should absolutely win tonight. They should win on Thursday against Detroit, and they should absolutely beat Brooklyn. There's no reason why you should lose those 3 games. And then when it comes to Cleveland and Boston, who's the first matchup out of the two, Tuesday on April 8th, and then Cleveland, they're playing them Friday, the 11th. We'll see. We'll see. But this is the last week of Knicks basketball. And then we're heading to the playoffs. I'm excited. But I'm also excited to just see how the Knicks finish off the remainder of this season. And then I'm looking for the Knicks to come in, be rested for the playoffs. We need everyone healthy and ready to go. But for right now, I'm going to stick on this week's. I'm at 3-2. And we'll see what happens. So on second thought, I would not sit Mikal, the Iron Man, but play him 20 minutes. Yeah, I wouldn't sit Mikal either. I just think with Mikal, he has to show up. Like Mikal can't give us 13, 14, maybe 15 points. To me, that's not enough. It's not going to cut it. I think at a minimum, he needs to give the Knicks at least 20 points a night. And I don't know what it is with Mikal. Like some games, he seems to be able to figure out how to be aggressive and attack and score. And in other games, he's just playing the flow of the game and getting to where he needs to get to. But when he like cuts out on fast breaks, he's really successful. I trusted him, making the basket. When he gets the ball, sometimes it's that Mikal is off, but a lot of times it's like, I don't know, it's a little indecisiveness, at least from what I'm looking at. It seems like he's second guessing before he shoots. And then I think that throws him out of rhythm. And I see the same thing from Josh Hart as well. I don't want Josh taking a ton of shots, but I don't want him to hesitate when he's wide open because teams are going to be daring him to shoot. They're like, let Josh Hart shoot. So, if he can be successful and knock down the shots and knock down the free throws too, because he's had some questionable moments where I'm like, Josh, you did it last year in the playoffs. You can't knock down 2 free throws. It's concerning. So, I definitely wouldn't sit Bridges for sure, but I think Bridges has to figure out how to be more aggressive and more of value for this team because I don't know, this year hasn't been, it's like him and Cat have had 2 different years. Cat has flourished his first year with the Knicks and Bridges has been, very up and down, very streaky. And you don't know, but I'm not counting Bridges out. He can be one of those X factors for us in games. We don't know. I hope the Leon Wright stays in the rotation. He looks pretty good. Yeah, I was talking about this earlier, saying that with Brunson back, Campaign back, Wright's minutes are if he gets any burn in a game. But I was saying how I don't want to see Tibbs just have him on the bench, just sitting there, because I believe, in my opinion, if you have Cam or Deuce is off, I would bring Bright in to be one of the backup point guards who can, you never know what he can give you, defensively, offensively. So I think if a guy is off Tibbs, if he's smart, he'll bring Wright and give him some minutes, right? So we'll see. The ball is moving right now out of necessity because Jalen isn't playing. When he comes back, it will be back to captain save the game. That is a little bit of a concern, yeah. I think that if there's too much one-on-one and ISO, that can hurt the Knicks. That can hurt the Knicks because one, you're allowing the defense time to rest. Two, they're able to figure out what the hell you're going to do because they know Brunson's going to go for the shot. And three, the offense is not moving because now guys are like, okay, well, Jalen Brunson's just going to go to work. But I think I think, first of all, before guys, I think Brunson, as the leader, the captain of the team, you have to be aware of if you get the other guys involved, you're more successful. And then I think added to that, if guys on a team are cutting to the basket without the ball, like you got to move without the ball. You can't stand on the perimeter watching Brunson or waiting for him to kick the ball out. Move without the ball. The Knicks are a lot more successful when they move without the ball. Like just because you don't have Isaiah Hartenstein here to make the passes that he was making, it's no excuse. Cat is a good passer, you know, and I want to see him utilize getting the ball to Cat and getting the ball to Mitchell Robinson. Like, let's stop settling for threes. Let's stop settling for mid-range jumpers all the time, and let's attack the paint. Get the fouls or score while trying. So I think it's Brunson having to find that balance of the right timing on the passes, facilitating in when he needs to, knowing when he needs to score, and other times when we don't need you to go off and play hero iso ball. We don't need that. You're not. I can guarantee you it's not going to work. You're not going to be successful. Yes, we know Jalen Brunson could knock down shots when the Knicks need it, but they don't need that. So I hope that the ball movement continues moving, free flowing, and there's this, fluid offense. The floor is open. I hope that that continues, or if not, picks up and gets better and not results in too much ISO ball or only two guys getting the ball and then, Brunson trying to go off. Mikal doesn't force shots, so if he is definitely smart and covers him for the fade or doubles, he will pass. Yeah, I agree. Hit him up. NYNJ said, I'm putting Mikal on D Booker, OG on Bradley Beal. Yeah. Yeah, I like that matchup. I think Mikal on Booker, that's a good matchup for sure. And he could stay in front of him. And I get it. Both Mikal and OG, they have a hard job. Like you're asking them to guard, like just in tonight's lineup, Booker and Beal, those are really two really good players. So it's tough enough trying to defend two guys like that. Then on offense, do your job. Here's the thing though. This is why I say it's no excuses, because you look at a guy like OG and he's still able to make it happen offensively. So Mikal has to like really enter the chat. Mikal has to get that laser focus like OG, Cat, and Brunson has. He doesn't have that. He's not there yet. It's in him, but he hasn't like turned that switch and got that laser focus. OG is on a different level. Cat is those two guys, since Brunson have been out, they've been very consistent. But Mikal, I haven't seen him get that like when you look at him, you like, yo, he looking in his eyes, look at his demeanor. He's on a different level. I haven't seen that yet from him. But tonight I'm looking to see what he's gonna do for sure, defensively and offensively. Knicks started the season moving the ball. Well, this did not just start with Jalen Brunson out. Yeah, of course. I agree 100%. The Knicks did start the season off moving the ball well. And then they got better at it. But I think there's some games where guys get caught watching Jalen and allowing him to do his thing. And I think there has to be a better balance with that. I'm very happy with OG on defense and offense. He's improving every game. Bridges needs to follow his lead. 100% agreed. And this is why I say there's no excuse. They both have a really tough job defensively, but somehow OG has found the balance both defensively and offensively. OG is just in the right places at the right time. Active hands, active feet, awareness on the floor, hustling, getting down the lanes, just making the right moves. The basketball IQ very high. He truly studies the game. He's figured out how to master the moves to get to the basket. And that's what the Knicks are going to need. They're going to need guys who's going to be able to get to the basket aggressively, strong, get the foul besides Brunson. You need another option. It can't just be Brunson driving. It can't just be Carl Anthony who's going to do the head fake and get to the basket. There has to be more aggressiveness and scoring from both OG, which he's done, but especially from Mikal. He has to figure out a way to implement himself and get more aggressive. 12, 13, 14 points is not going to cut it. Wright has proven his worth. Yeah, and he looks like he fits here. I agree 100%. Leon Wright looks like he belongs on this Knicks team. He's proven himself. I like the way he facilitates and handles the basketball. I think sometimes it puts a little pressure on Tibbs because now you have Cam Payne here. Both Cam and DeLeon are both veterans of the game, but that's why I say I think it has to be game by game situational. Like maybe if Cam is off and he's making too many mistakes, then you put Wright in. You can't just keep rocking with the same guy and he's making a ton of mistakes or he's just completely off. You got to switch it up. And I'm hoping that Tibbs realizes that and does that. David Smith, salute to you. Said team chemistry, ball movement, defense, and teamwork. The play from OG Anunoby and Bridges and the bench all look better with Brunson out. Hopefully Brunson changes his approach. Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for. I think when I keep using the word balance, Brunson has to figure out, like, as a point guard, when are you exercising, facilitating the ball? When are you setting up guys to be vocal and actually let guys know you need them to come up, set a screen? When are you utilizing the pick and roll to get Cat involved with you and Mitch involved? Whether they're rolling off and rolling to the basket, you hit them up with an alley oop, whatever the case may be. I think that, because he is the leader, and I'm not just talking about the captain, like a lot of the offense goes through Brunson. He has to have a better balanced approach to the game with him coming back. That's going to be key. Because if it's too much one-on-one and ISO, that can be somewhat of an Achilles heel for the Knicks. And then the defense just, focuses on Brunson when there's other guys that are open. Would you offer Cat in a deal for Giannis? If yes, what do you think it would take to get him? I don't know. I've thought about this, not to a great deal, but I've thought about would I want to give up Carl Anthony for Giannis? I feel like, and I know the Knicks wouldn't be able to keep both, but I would rather see Giannis and Cat playing together on the Knicks. And I would get rid of Mitchell Robinson and then maybe clear up some of the guys that we have on this team and create whatever space. I did read an article talking about some of the salary cap space, how it's going up for the NBA for all teams. But I don't know if I would get rid of Cat for Giannis. I think that Giannis could give you some things that Cat can't give you for sure. He's a train wreck in a good way. He's like a freight train, Giannis, like LeBron. They're so strong. You just have to get out of their way because they're going to impose their will and get out of their way. I don't care if you're standing right there. I'm going to figure out how to go by you. Giannis uses those long arms and legs and the Euro step, and he's so strong. And his basketball IQ and his passion for the game. And he's won a championship, so he knows what it takes. And I've heard those rumors of him coming here. But I think that if the Knicks were to exercise that and entertain bringing over Giannis, Yeah, I don't see it where they would be able to keep Cat as well. I would love for them to be able to get Cat, keep Cat, and bring Giannis. But I think if you couldn't, you would have to get rid of Cat. Hell, I've been hearing Mikel's name on the chopping block as well. That, the Knicks may look to ship him off somewhere. I don't think they're necessarily going to give up on him. But listen, with the Knicks, anything is possible. The Knicks are like a really good show that you're watching on Showtime or Stars, Max, Apple TV. The next episodes keeps getting better. And this off season, you got to be tuned in because the Knicks are going to probably do something drastic or make some moves that we're going to be like, I didn't see that coming. Because right now the front office is chasing a championship. But I think if the Knicks, I think they would have to do it like I said. You would have to get rid of Towns. You would probably have to clear up some space. I don't know if you keep Shamit. You don't keep Precious. Um, Payne. You would have to clear up a lot to bring him in. But do I think it'll be worth it? Yeah. But then I wonder if you bring in Giannis hypothetically, who do you have as the backup center? Or are you keeping Mitch Robinson, who, you know, Mitch, I'm praying for him to stay healthy in the postseason, but it's like, how long does that last? I like Mitchell Robinson, but his health is a big concern for me. So I don't know. I'm a little torn on that bringing Giannis here. Not for him as the player or fit. I think he'll fit here for sure. I think he gives the Knicks another option playing with OG and Brunson. I'm not worried about the fit, but I'm worried about who do you give up to make it a good, sensible deal, right? So that's a great question, though. Thank you for that question. Looks like we saw the last of Tyler Kolek. Yeah, with campaign back, Brunson back, Deuce day to day. I'm sure he'll be making a return back. Yeah, I don't see Kolek playing any more minutes, but who knows? Maybe if the Knicks are blowing someone out in the playoffs and they're up by 2025, maybe Tibbs can give him a little play, a couple of minutes to get that experience playing in the postseason, right? So I won't count him out just yet. Hopefully, Brunson changes his approach and focuses on ball movement and no more hero ball. Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I think he will. I think Brunson sitting on the bench, I said that was a good thing because it exposed who we had on the team for the Knicks, right? And then I think for Brunson, it allows you to get a different view. It's not the same when you're sitting on the bench and you catching your breath and then you going back in. It's different when you sitting back and you're like, all right, I could see some changes that I can make and that we can make as a team for us to win games. And I hope he was looking at it from that angle and not an angle of like, can't wait to get back in, which I'm sure he can't wait to get back in, but really just analyzing and seeing the changes and a different approach that he can make on the game. Wanting to trade Cat is insane. The guy is an NBA All-Starter. Yeah, agreed. I don't want to trade Cat. I want to keep him. That's why I said I would rather keep him and Giannis on the team. I think that would be a great twin tower standing that the Knicks will have. Like the Knicks will give teams a lot of problems. OG is having the best season of his career. I hope Wright stays a Knick. Yeah, OG has been phenomenal, phenomenal. And you know what? Why I even appreciate OG and what he's doing even more because there was a lot of Knicks fans who gave a lot of backlash when the Knicks signed OG for all that money. But I think OG, real talk, OG knows his worth. He knows like truly deep. OG's like, I know my worth. He's a very humble guy. He's not one of those players. He's out here doing signs and gang signs and gun signs as you know what he doesn't need to do that. OG is so he studies his craft and how he's going to get better in the off season. He stays in shape. And I get it with some Knicks fans how they was concerned with, oh my gosh, the Knicks just gave OG all that money and he gets hurt. The Knicks knew that when they signed him before they gave him all that money. They already knew that. But OG, you got to look at the talent. He's a huge asset to this Knicks team. Let's keep it real. If he wasn't on this team, that would make Cat's job a lot harder while Brunson was out. Because Cat, a few games, even I was like, oh, he had 22 points, 24 points. I didn't even know it. But because it seems like with Cat, he barely, it's so hard for him to get a call. He has to work so hard to get shots off. But I think OG has proven his worth here on this team and that he's here to stay. And as far as Wright, I really hope that the Knicks keep him because they can utilize him and his veteran experience here on this team. I really like what I saw from him in the few games that he's played. So I hope so as well. Agreed, just countering the sentiment that we just learn how to move the ball. Playing faster helps Mikel and OG. Need more pace regardless. Yeah, the Knicks definitely need more pace. And the Knicks have to learn how to stay composed. Like, if you're down by 14, 15, you got to regroup when you come back in that third quarter and figure out how do you attack and break down a team with your defense and come in strong offensively. How do you get the stops? How do you play smart so that way you can cut in and get that team flustered and they didn't even think that you were going to come back. So, I think that the pace for sure matters. And floor spacing matters. And that can help both players like Mikel and OG for sure be very successful against other teams. If you lose Cat, you don't get better, you get worse. That's why I would want to keep Cat. And if you can get Giannis to play with Cat, excellent. Mitch will be okay simply because there is no Embiid to trip or step on him. But I don't think that Mitch could be trying to stop Garland. I'm just using as an example. Garland tumbles on the floor. Maybe Mitch is trying to avoid stepping on him or he trips over him. Mitch is like a glass. One drop, something cracks. So I think that can be the case. It doesn't necessarily have to be another heavy big like Embiid. It can be a guard, you know, that he's trying to defend and swipe the ball and block, and anything can happen. I don't think Giannis is going to instantly make the Knicks champions if he comes to the Knicks, but I think that if he comes here, yeah, you have to give up a lot to get a player like him. I agree 100%. Let me see. Johnny Davis salute said with Wright not having the offense but decent on defense, we won some games. Yeah, his height is an advantage. His length that he has is a huge advantage for sure. But I like him here on this next team. Brunson took a pay cut to make the team better, but who can they sign? I'm confused. Aprons and caps. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's hard to look at that now because I think the front office, in my opinion, they're looking at this next team to see what are they going to do in the playoffs. Like, what it, I want to see what this roster is going to do. I think just like the fans, the front office is definitely looking like, yo, what is this team going to do? So I think after the playoffs, then the Knicks will have to make decisions on who do they cut and trade to bring in who they need. Um, the Knicks don't have a strong enough bench, which is a problem. You know, you look at who we have, and I don't know if it's enough to cut it. I think the talent is there. I don't think it's fully falls on Tibbs not utilizing them or playing them. I just think that even with the minutes, I don't know if it's gonna cut it to get past other teams and to be able to compete with other teams' bench. So I think before we even can look at who the Knicks can cut and trade, I think we got to focus on the postseason first, right? And see what the Knicks do. So Mitch is injury prone. Yeah. And I think Mitch, too, is one of those players that the Knicks front office is kind of like, let's see what he do in the postseason and if he can stay healthy. The Knicks' biggest concern in the offseason is improving the bench. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was just getting at. They have to. The bench is it's just it's not it wasn't cutting it this season. So I'm curious to see what they do as well with in the off season as far as who do they get rid of, who do they end up keeping, um, and yeah, there's a couple of guys on the bench that I would get rid of just because I don't think we need to hold on to. I don't want to call it dead weight, but just like straggling guys along. Like if you're trying to move in a direction of a championship, you have to make the moves necessary to bring in the players you need to. And I don't think that this next front office is afraid to do that. We've seen that already. So we'll say. I like Campaign as a backup point. He has excellent chemistry with Cat, OG, and Bridges and Hart. He knows how to run the point. Yeah, I'm more comfortable with Campaign running the point than Deuce McBride. I don't really like Deuce running the point. I prefer it to be Campaign. And now that you know what Wright could do, I would rather see those two guys running at the backup point and allow Deuce to go to his position of catch and shoot and do what he do best in that right. I don't want to see Deuce bringing up the ball. So, and to be honest, you shouldn't even have to have Mikal bringing up the ball or Josh. Like y'all go down the floor because Josh, I don't like when Josh brings up the ball because first of all, when he brings up the ball, it's so simple. It's just a straight up dribble and it's a little high. And then Josh brings up the ball so slow, like there's no sense of urgency. And Josh telegraphs his passes a lot. Like when he's going to pass the ball, I find you just know where he's going to pass it. So and Josh has developed somewhat of a bad habit at times in games where he reminds me of Julius Randle. He drives and instead of looking to attack and score, he kicks the ball out. I'm not sure why Josh does that. It's so frustrating to watch. We have a lot of talent on the bench. Perhaps we will have something after summer league. 3, 6, and 6, 8 wings with Hulk and Kolek. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Huck Porty coming back for sure, and Kolek. I like the both of them. Daddy A, I'm not sure. I hope he doesn't turn into one of those players that the Knicks wind up trading to another team and then he does really well on another team because we've seen that happen as well. Paul Labana, salute. Shout out to you. Hope all is well. I think Campaign is good enough to be a starter on a playoff team. Hmm. Yeah, the veteran experience is there. I think if he needed to start on the Knicks, he can definitely do it here. But I definitely like him as the backup option for the Knicks, as long as he's just making better shot selections. Like I know he's just gonna chuck them up regardless, but some of them are just way off. They're like I've seen them go over like the hoop, and I'm like, come on, man, you're just shooting up anything just to shoot up a basketball. So I don't know, but we'll see. I'll be tuned into tonight's game at 7. I got the Knicks winning, and then I have the Knicks questionable for Tuesday against Boston. I have the Knicks winning against Detroit on Thursday. Question mark on Friday against Cleveland, and I have the Knicks winning on next Sunday against Brooklyn. So 3-2, 3-2, everybody. But yeah, thanks for everybody for tuning in. Catch me on the Queen's Court tomorrow. I will definitely be there. Looking forward to it. I'm sure we're going to be breaking down this game and looking forward to the Tuesday game against Boston. Shout out to Steph, um, Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises, Jeff Clafter, who has the Happily Ever Clafter blog. Check that out. Um, Shout out to Divalock. Shout out to those of you who are watching live but not actively in the chat. Those of you who are in the chat, salute to you all as well for joining me. Um, and those of you who are new here, welcome, welcome. I hope to see you back here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the like button. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Check us out. We'll be on at the Knicks are not playing tomorrow, so we'll be on at 7:30. And as Diva Locks always says, let's go Knicks. Peace, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, Queen's Court, 7:30.